Alright, so this is lesson 2.5, and this is the warm-up for today. So we've got an equation with decimals, and we've got an equation with fractions. Remember, when we have decimals or fractions, either one, we are going to multiply the entire thing by something, okay? So let's start with the decimals. Remember, what we want to do is we want to find how many decimals there are to the right of the decimal point. In this case, each of them have 2 digits to the right of the decimal. Therefore, we're going to multiply by 100. If we multiply the whole thing by 100, this would become 112 plus 125 g equals 862. From here, what we would do is subtract 112 from both sides. These are going to cancel, and we're going to be left with 125. G equals, this becomes 0.5750. If we were to divide both sides by 125, divide by 125, we get G equals 6. Okay? And for the other one, so if we multiplied, we have to figure out what to multiply by. Remember, we want to get something that'll cancel with the 8 and with the 7. So what I normally do is I do 8 times 7, which is 56. So I multiply by 56. And what I get here is I get 6 times 56, so 56 times... I get 6 times 56 plus 56 times v over negative 8 equals 4 over 7 times 56. So 6 times 56 is 336, plus this 56 is going to cancel with the negative 8. We're going to get negative 7v, because this is a 7 up here, and this becomes negative 1. And then this equals, this 7 and this 56 will cancel to give you 8 and 1. So we've got 4 times 8, which is 32. We can subtract 336 from both sides. And we're going to be left with negative 7 v equals negative 304. If we divide it by negative 7 from both sides, we would get v equals positive 304 over 7, which simplifies to 43 3/7. Okay? Okay, so that was our one. My apologies, 2.4, solving equations with variables on both sides. This is, again, lesson 2.4. We're solving equations with variables on both sides now. Okay. So when we have variables on both sides, that's when we have an x over here on the left side. We've also got an x on the right side. The first thing we want to do, okay, we can start with either side, but the first thing we want to do is get rid of one of them. So we want to get one of them away from that side. In order to do that, we have to subtract, in this case, by 2x to both sides. We're going to be left with 3x plus 2 equals 14. From here, remember, we want to isolate our variable, get our variable alone. We're going to subtract by 2 from both sides. This will cancel, and we're left with 3x equals 14 minus 2 gives us 12. We can divide both sides by 3, and then we're left with x equals 4. And remember, we can always check our work by plugging it back into the original equation. So 5 times 4 plus 2 equals 2 times 4 plus 14. This will give us 20 plus 2 equals 8 plus 14. 20 plus 2 is 22. And 8 plus 14 is 22 as well. So we're good. It worked. All right, again, variables on both sides. So what we want to do, again, is get one of these variables out of the way. So we're going to subtract by 4k, that way this will cancel. So we're left with 3k plus 2 equals negative 10. From here, we want to subtract 2 from both sides. 3k equals negative 12. Divide by 3, divide by 3. These will cancel. You'll get k equals negative 4. Okay, and then now we've got a little bit of a different problem. So we've got variables on both sides, but we also have to distribute, okay? So what we do when we distribute is we take this 2, we multiply by both terms inside the parentheses, and we also take this 3 and we multiply it by both terms inside the parentheses. So now what we're going to have is 2 times 5x minus 2 times 1 equals 3 times x plus 3 times 11. This left side is going to give us 10x minus 2 equals 3x plus 33. From here, all we want to do is we want to subtract 3x from both sides. And what we're left with is 7x minus 2 equals 33. We can add 2 to both sides. We get 7x equals 35. Divide by 7, divide by 7. X, oops. Whoa, interesting. So x equals 5. All right. So the next thing we're going to learn about is when we have the same value of the variable on each side. So let's look at an example like that. So we've got 2 that we're going to distribute to the 5x and to the 6. Okay, this 10x plus 12 is already simplified, so we're just going to rewrite it as 10x plus 12. And now 2 times 5x gives us 10x, and 2 times 6 gives us 12, so 10x plus 12. Notice this and this are equal. They're the exact same. So whenever we have the exact same, if we were to continue solving this, we would end up with, you would subtract 10 from both sides, 10x, and they would cancel. So what you'd be left with is 12 equals 12, which is a true statement. So what we write is x has infinitely many solutions. Okay? The original equation is an identity. The reason we call it an identity is because 12 equals 12 is an identity. Okay? So our original equation is an identity because it's the exact same thing on both sides. So x could be anything. All right? Okay, moving on. The other thing that could happen is we could have no solution. Okay, so let's look at one with no solution. So we've got negative 3m on the right and 12m. So remember, we want to combine these two. So let's rewrite it as 9m minus 4 equals negative 3m and 12m become 9m plus 5. Now, 9m plus 5, how is that going to be equal to 9m minus 4? It can't, and we're going to see why. So if you subtracted 9m from this side minus 9m from this side, they would both cancel. You'd be left with negative 4 equals 5. And that is not true. So therefore, M has no solution. The original equation has no solution. Okay? Because there's no value of M where this equation would work. None whatsoever. Okay, so the word problem. It takes a graphic designer 1.5 hours to make one page of a website. Using new software, the designer could complete each page in 1.25 hours, but it takes 8 hours to learn the software. How many web pages would the designer have to make in order to save time using the new software? So remember, on these kinds of problems, you always want to start by highlighting what the question is asking you for. So it wants to know how many web pages would the designer have to make in order to save time using the new software. And we want to make that our variable. So P is going to be equal to the web pages. Okay, so if P is the web pages, in the beginning it took 1.5 times P for each website. That was the total time. So the number of websites, it took 1.5 hours per web page. So we're going to set that equal to 1.25 times P, because it took each page 1.25 hours using the new software, plus the 8 hours that it took to learn the software. So from here, we're just going to subtract 1.25 P from both sides. And we will get 0.25 P equals 8. Remember, when we are dealing with decimals in an equation, you want to multiply both sides by 100. Why? Because we want this decimal to move twice over. So we get 25P equals 800. We can divide by 25, divide by 25. 800 divided by 25 will give us 3 minus 75 equals 32. So P equals 32 pages. So after 32 pages, the software will start to save money for the new software will start to save money for the designer. Okay, so now we've got 3x plus 4 equals 5x minus 10. So what we want to do is we want to subtract 5x from both sides, or actually, better yet, to keep everything positive, we want to subtract 3x from both sides. So what we're going to get is these are going to cancel. We're going to get 4 equals 2x minus 10. We can go ahead and add 10 to both sides. We're going to get 14 equals 2x. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And x is going to be equal to 7. Okay, next problem, we've got 5 times y minus 4 equals 7 times 2y plus 1. What we have to do is distribute. This becomes 5 times y minus 5 times 4, and that's equal to 7 times 2y plus 7 times 1. This left side becomes 5y minus 20 equals 14y plus 7. Next, we're going to subtract 14. Just kidding. We would like to subtract 5y from both sides. When we do that, these will cancel. You'll be left with negative 20 equals 9y plus 7. And y equals negative 3. Practice 3. All right, so for this one, 2a plus 3 equals, distribute that 1/2, and we got 1/2 times 6 plus 1/2 times 4a. 2a plus 3 equals 3 plus 2a. This is, we can already see, it's going to be either an identity or no solution. These cancel, these cancel. We got 3 equals 3. A has infinitely so then next one, practice 4. It's the same thing. What we want to do is distribute the 2. And then from there we're going to get 4x minus 5 equals 4x plus 2. Subtract 4x from both sides. We're going to be left with negative 5 equals 2. That is not a true statement. Therefore, x has no solution. Pristine Printing will print business cards for 10 cents each plus a setup charge of $15. The printing place offers business cards for 15 cents each with a setup charge of $10. What number of business cards costs the same from either printer? Well, 0.10 times each business card will label B. B will represent the number of business cards. Okay, so 10.10 B plus 15 is going to be equal to 0.15 B plus 10. Okay, we can subtract the 0.10 B minus 0.10 B. These will cancel. You'll be left with 15 equals 0.05 B plus 10 minus 10 minus 10. 5 equals 0.05 B. And now remember, you want to multiply by 100 because you want to get rid of that decimal. So what we're going to get is 500 equals 5B divided by 5 divided by 5. And you're going to get B equals 100 business cards. So at 100 business cards, then the cost will be the same from either printer. All right, exit ticket. A student solved an equation and found that the variable was eliminated in the process of solving the equation. How would the student know whether the equation is an identity or an equation with no solution? So for them to know that, the equation is either true or false, if false, no solution. If true, infinite. Infinitely many solutions. And there's your homework. Good luck.